In this episode, we're diving into a collection of real paranormal experiences, stories of haunted houses, strange black shadows, toys, and electronics turning on by themselves, and dreams that felt more like visitations. These are first-hand accounts from people who've lived through moments they can't explain. From unsettling sleep paralysis to emotional encounters with loved ones who've passed on, these stories highlight the strange ways the paranormal shows up in everyday life. So if you're into true ghost stories, unexplained experiences, and the mysteries of life after death, you'll feel right at home here. Before we get going, shout out to Half Day for keeping me quenched with all this reading I'm about to do. Visit drinkhalfday.com and get you some. Say the boys at the Freaky Deaky sent you. We'll see you on the inside. You are now entering the realm of the Freaky Deaky, an unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... okay? Tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality, about time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically. So, I'm not going to get into it, because by the time this comes out in the middle of November...
There'll be other emotions to be wallowing through.
Sure. And so people are going to like be kind, and everyone's so sweet. Like when on the air, if I'm like, yeah, I've been depressed this week. I don't know what's going on. Most of the time it's probably I'm hungry or too much caffeine, but people are always so sweet. And they're like, oh, I hope you're doing better. And I'm always like, what? And I'm like, oh yeah, I recorded that 2 months ago and I was not feeling great when I did that. So thank you to everyone that is very kind with that. I really do appreciate the love. Everyone probably thinks I'm on the verge of like a full-on mental collapse. It's fine, guys. That's not why we're here. That's an entirely different podcast called I'm Sorry for This, which has taken a bit of a back seat. I decided I'm only going to do that. Like I have a note on my phone, and when things either annoy me or I think of something quirky, I'll just put it in that note. And when I get enough of those things, I'm like, I'll just record this. I'll go vent. I'll just vent for an hour. Release it to like no hashtags, no nothing. I don't market anything. I'm like, I'm just throwing this up there. The end.
I feel like maybe I'm doing my life wrong if I don't ever vent.
Yeah, venting. Well, I mean, for me, venting is good because I try my best to at least make it funny or entertaining. And so that's another thing is people will think that I'm losing my marbles, but in reality, I'm just being like really theatrical.
That's true. Theater kid.
And that's fine, you know. It is what it is. I feel like the hood shadow is going to be... What shadow is this? What is casting?
It's the Shadow Man.
No, that's next week. We're going back to Shadow People 2 weeks from now. Apologies. Still getting used to that.
Next episode.
Yeah, next episode we're going back to Shadow People, so it'll be a treat. But I feel like something's casting a weird shadow on my face. Who cares? Honestly, who cares? Oh, I did not realize I started this with a Ouija story. That's great. Folks, if you are new to the show, please subscribe. We have a lot of lurkers that are not subscribed that I guess just like to tune in when their little heart's desire, but we're trying to get those numbers up, you know? So hit that like, hit that subscribe on your way in. Tell your homies. And if you have a story of your own, send it into the gang at thefreakydeaky.com. If you'd like to support the show in any way, shape, or form, you can visit holler.baby/thefreakydeaky to buy a shout out. Or you can visit thefreakydeaky.com to make a donation, become a producer of the show. You can also buy merch at thefreakydeaky.com/store. And there's plenty of dope new merch. We got Frightline merch up now. We got the Stay Weird collection, which I'm currently rocking with the little ghosty, the anxiety hoodie. And it's good stuff. So we got that all out of the way. Let's get into these stories, huh? Let's do that. Right after I wet my whistle a little bit.
Maybe demons do exist.
Couldn't agree more, Christian. You're absolutely right. Yep, so we're going to kick things off with a little bit of a Ouija story. Ouija, look at that. It's called Ouija Prediction. Wow. Probably should have gone back and spiced that up a bit for the algo, but it's fine. This is an anonymous submission. It says, my roommates and I had made a habit of ordering pizza every Friday night. When we were finished, we would draw a Ouija board on the back of the cardboard box and goof around until we found something interesting to watch on TV. Then we would throw the box into the fireplace. On this occasion, we started out with the usual inane questions. We soon grew bored, and as a last resort, asked simply, is there anything we need to know? The board responded, yes, and then spelled out the word accident. It continued on to tell us that I was going to be in an accident involving a blue sedan. The accident was going to occur on the first day of school, and I was going to be run over by my ex-boyfriend. Of course, all my friends found that very amusing. It also said that I would be, quote, presumed dead. We blew off the prediction and settled in for an evening of tube.
I can see somebody did not pick the proper boyfriend. I'm just foreshadowing.
You may or may not be correct, but if this show has proven us anything, it's that you are probably incorrect. But let's find out.
Okay.
Several months later, I was invited to the movies by a friend. I borrowed my mother's car, a blue sedan. Well, let's see if we can get through this story, huh? Let's see if we can do that. Hey, computer, let me finish the story, please.
I think you should be nicer.
No, that never works, this computer. It likes the abuse. It's fine.
They do not. They will have their revenge.
Several months later, I was invited to the movies by a friend. I borrowed my mother's car, a blue sedan. My friend had just arrived in town and we had registered for fall classes together earlier that day. As I was making my way through an intersection, a van ran the red light and plowed into the side of my car. The impact was so great that the ignition lock snapped and the keys flew out onto the floor, leaving the car running. I was in shock and remember thinking that I had to shut the engine off. I had heard the keys hit the far door and bounce off under the seat. I opened my door, put one foot on the road, and reached under my seat with my right hand. My head and left arm were just hanging over my left thigh. The boy who had hit me came running around the side of the car at that exact moment, screamed and ran back to his vehicle. I looked up in time to see his back. A couple of minutes later, his friends came around the side of the car and were greatly relieved to see that I was okay. Apparently, the driver had thought I was dead. A short time later, the police arrived and took statements from me and the driver of the van. Although it was not my ex, the driver was approximately the same build and coloring and had the same first and middle name as my ex-boyfriend. His last name was different by only one letter, Gregory and not Gregor. Now it's pretty wild. That's pretty crazy. You gotta admit, like, that's a M. Night Shyamalan type ending for you.
Close to it. Nobody died.
That we're aware of.
True.
The real twist ending was she did die and was just like, why is everyone freaking out? You know, just like The Sixth Sense.
And then she typed up the story.
That does happen. Hey, we've heard of ghosts using keyboards, you know?
Have we, though? Or have you heard of a ghost?
We have, because we have talked about it on the show at some point. I do remember a ghost computer thing.
I feel like I've heard it too, but...
The clickety-clack.
So what do you think happened here?
That's an interesting question. I have no idea.
Premonition? The Ouija board was right? The Ouija boards are real?
The Ouija board was technically right, assuming this all went down the way that it was described. The Ouija board was technically right. Used a lot less characters to get the X, be like, it was your ex. Instead of being like, oh, it was pretty much someone that had the exact same name as your ex, except for one. That's a lot to kind of, spell out on a Ouija board. So it's just like, it was your ex. It's fine.
Yeah. And it's really hard to spell out if you're doing it in Latin like a demon would.
Sure.
So, I don't know, man. I think, I feel like this is more premonition, but not necessarily by the Ouija board.
But who else would it be a premonition by?
The person sitting right
the
there.
The person, you think the friends are sitting there and like...
No, I think...
Like just happened to oops-a-daisy their way into telling the future, pretty much?
What's the...
Planchette?
No, the what they call it when the people move it on their own without realizing it. Psychomotor or psychiomotor. I don't know. We've talked about it before.
Yeah. I
I'm drawing
know
a
what I
blank.
know what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank right now, but let's say that they subconsciously moved the planchette
Sure.
and somehow predicted the future still.
Doesn't it almost seem more likely that a demon was just on the other side? Doesn't that seem almost like easier?
I feel like you don't know me.
Instead of all like the hoops you're hopping through, wouldn't it just be like, yeah,
Maybe demons do exist.
you know?
Not in this case.
If any case, I feel like this would be the case for it.
Why would a demon warn somebody?
It's not. It's a show of power, I believe. To be like, yes, I do have this ability.
See, now you're jumping through hoops.
Is it? That's just like that's low hanging fruit right there for me. I'm just like, nah.
It would be low hanging fruit if there were demons.
Gain the confidence of this group of teenagers, and then maybe they fancy back to a pizza box Ouija board and have another go. Like entrap their souls forever, perhaps. The options are endless, Christian.
It's like a demonic conspiracy.
Plenty of those to go around as well. Have you seen Hollywood? Oh, yeah.
I have. And I've seen my neighborhoods. The same people down the street are the same people in Hollywood. Give them money, they do the same crap. I'm not impressed.
Yeah, you wouldn't be. But you got the blinders on. You and most of people have blinders on when it comes to weird stuff.
I find it fascinating that somebody would say that to me because I don't feel like I do. I just don't believe something.
No, I understand that. And it's nothing against you. Like a lot of people have the same thought that you do. And a lot of people like you probably look at someone like me and are like, oh, that guy's crazy.
No.
Like
I feel like you got the blinders on.
Sure, yeah, you could say that.
But I think that's what everybody thinks about everybody else.
But if I don't have blinders on, I'm seeing everything, Which means if ironically enough, I shouldn't have blinders on if I'm having crazy conspiracies because I'm seeing everything. Truth or otherwise, I'm seeing everything.
I disagree because conspiratorial thinking like that is very narrow-minded. They think they see everything because they do their own research. But if you really step back and look at it, they're only looking at one thing, conspiracy.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole too much. It's mainly religion-based. From a religion standpoint, I can look at Hollywood and be like, oh, satanic.
I can look at Hollywood and say, rich people.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you do. But that's because you don't have like that, what is it, technically?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish, and then I'll interrupt you.
I probably won't be able to grasp what I'm trying to actually say here. It's like a foundation, if you will, in what I believe is right and wrong. I can look at things from a biblical standpoint and say evil. Right
and wrong, I get that. That's evil.
Sure.
That's easy to say. My complaint when people are like, Hollywood, the elite, I'm like, you're leaving all the other people that are exactly the same out.
I'm not even saying Illuminati. I'm not even going Illuminati or anything crazy.
God.
I'm just saying that the stuff that you can see firsthand in the music industry, in the movie industry, film industry, all that stuff, it's evil.
See, this is, but I don't know how we got here.
The same way we always do, Christian.
I'm fine with that as being evil because there's a lot of evil. My saying is if we say it's here and just stick with this, make it easy because it's Hollywood. That's an easy punching bag.
Yes.
We miss all the people down the street. We miss all the other rich people all over the country doing other things. It's the same thing. It's
evil lives is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's exclusively Hollywood. I'm saying that they plaster it on TV for all to see. So it's easier for me to call them out because I'm not peeking in my neighbor's blinds and be like, what are they doing in there?
Yeah, I just think it's good to remember that it's everybody, especially with power. Anyway, back to the Ouija board. I forgot I had a point to make with that.
That would be a first with a Ouija board?
No, not a point that people would like.
It's not a point that people would like?
I mean, some people might like it, but most
you have a strange cult following on this show, Christian. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
I am.
Some people just don't like the truth, turns out.
That's what everybody says.
That's fine.
It's always funny. That kind of stuff. But either way, I love Ouija board stuff, which is fascinating for the same reason I like demonic possession movies, even though demons do exist. Oh, that's where
demons exist.
Because we had that, like somebody on Facebook was asking me about demons recently, and I thought that was an interesting question.
Yeah,
the way it was phrased, and I had to really think hard, and I'm still thinking about it.
He's still 3 months later. He's still thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm sure I am. But
he's still thinking about it.
But I still stand by that I don't believe in demons. I'm sorry.
I know, but you will. You will. And
hopefully I won't.
No, hopefully you will. I have it on good authority that you will. And that's fine. And you don't need to know how that all pans out and rolls into itself. It's fine. But it's going to be, it's going to happen.
Scott wants me to meet a demon. Are you working on this to get a demon into my life?
I would never do such a thing.
Is it a cute one?
And with that, now that people are
sorry guys
screaming at their computer screens or telephones and be like, well, you guys, for the love of God, shut the up about demons and God. And the answer is no.
Don't they go hand in hand?
They do, but the
you
thing
can't
is,
have one without the other.
What's going to happen is that we're going to go down this rabbit hole so many times, which we have. This show's been going on for 5 years, and we have talked about this probably 25% of the time. Okay, but we're going to reach a point where people are going to listen to the show and start commenting like they do on Tony's stuff now. We're like, it used to be good and cool stories, but now it's just God talk, and I can't stand that.
It's on you.
And then I'm going to have to be rude in the comment section, which I absolutely don't like doing, but sometimes people take it out of you. Just kidding. It's all on me. Whatever. Who cares? Honestly, watch the show or don't. If people don't watch the show, that's going to free me up and free my time up so much more. I'm going to have so many more things and like so many activities and hobbies that I can get into.
He
like
won't. He won't have hobbies and stuff. He likes doing this, but if you're here, there's going to be God talk and demon talk.
Hey there, welcome back. I thought we had ads. Apparently we do not. If you'd like to buy a short ad read on the show, visit holler.baby/thefreakydeaky. You can buy a shout out for $9 or a brief 30-second ad read, 15-second, 30-second. We usually drag it out. Who cares? For $29. And that is the steal of a lifetime. I promise you. It's fine. We're going to go ahead and get into this next story before I humiliate myself further.
Too late.
You were stuttering over something?
I was thinking if there's not a Frightline advertisement on this video.
No. I think I'm going to start throwing them in there for the little intermission breaks. And the Frightline song is a bop, so you're welcome. Okay. Anyway, this next, so I was going to say song. Yeah, I'm going to start singing on this podcast. That's the next progression. The next story is called The Anniversary Haunting, and it's by Amma Nasra.
Probably be better if you sung than me. I'm not impressed with my voice.
I've heard you attempt to impersonate Scott Stapp from Creed, and that was...
I tried Julie Andrews today.
Yeah.
Because me and your son were listening to The Sound of Music.
Okay.
You know The Sound of Music, right?
Of course, yeah. I'm just not... I don't watch it constantly, you know?
Yeah.
It's not really my thing.
Childhood memories.
Mm-hmm. Says, when I first got married, my husband and I moved into a unit in North Sydney up the hill. This is a crazy one, for the record. You're actually probably going to really enjoy this.
North Sydney?
Mm-hmm. Up the hill from the Cahill Expressway. Or should I do it with the Cahill Expressway?
Oh, no,
I didn't need an alarm clock. No, it's fine.
I feel like you've gotten better since you've watched a lot of
Bluey.
Bluey.
I exclusively talk to myself in an Australian accent.
Okay.
So my son's going to have a low-key Australian accent because I exclusively nonstop. If someone says sentence, I repeat it in an Australian accent. And there's no rhyme or reason for it. It's just a weird phase that I'm in.
I got Siri's Australian on my phone.
There you go. For me, it's an urban man.
That's weird.
Take that as you will. It's really weird when I have my AirPods in. It's like, hey, you got a new text message from your mother. I'm like, okay.
Oh, I used to like that. That is so annoying
it's
now.
The worst, yeah.
Like,
hey, Amazon delivered a package. I'm like, I don't care. Hey,
yeah.
I'm trying to listen to something, obviously.
Yeah, it ruins the song.
Do my eyes still work when I'm wearing AirPods?
I mean, how could you make your Creed listening worse? Having those messages pop up.
Right in the middle of Arms Wide Open? Are you kidding me? That's not how you do it.
Unacceptable.
Arms are wide closed, all right? Tightly closed for that. That's fine. Anyway, I'm going to drop the accent and just get going. I didn't need an alarm clock. Was woken up at 6 a.m. every morning by the traffic. The unit had been chosen for us by my mother and aunt, who is supposed to be very psychic. Ho ho. What
do you call her?
Yeah, I know. I was like, is that how Australian people type ha ha? Is ho ho? Ho ho. Ho ho. Or is it Santa? You know? It's fine. We'll figure that out later. That doesn't seem relevant right now. It was on the second floor with a balcony running along one side, which was really 3 floors up because of the slope of the land. It had one bedroom with a connecting bathroom. The bedroom door was on a 90-degree angle from the front door on the right. Like this. The lounge was to the right of the front door with a dining area off of it and an over small kitchen. Sure.
Fascinating. Truly fascinating.
Yeah, I hope that was relevant, because we're not trying to list your property on our spooky ghost podcast, all right?
This is why maybe I'm not a writer, because I'd have been like, my house was blue. Yeah. And there was a lot of traffic nearby.
And you don't even need to hear that much, all right?
Yeah.
Here's the ghost. Anyway, it had floor-to-ceiling windows, which I spent 2 weeks stuffing newspaper into the cracks to stop them from rattling, with metal frames along the lounge room, nice view of the harbor bridge. Every other wall was cement, and so was the inside of the front door, I found out later. It's called a fire retardant door. Hey, you can't say that. No, it's fine. Anyway, Philip and I had been living in the unit for nearly 6 months when the problem started. I can't say precisely when, but each evening when I got home from work, I would have a huge rush of anxiety as I unlocked the front door. Welcome to my world. But it would disappear as I entered the bedroom. To start with, I didn't pay much attention. I was too busy with my life to worry about something small like that. It was only when Philip had to do a 2-day shift on the base, 2 nights, that the flat would get to me. I didn't like being there alone much. On the night in question, I came home from work like usual at about 5:30 and opened the front door. I walked into the unit and could hear the shower running. Now, this surprised me as Philip was on a 2-day shift and wasn't due home for 2 nights. It was Friday.
Uh-oh.
You could hear the shower running because the bathroom wall is in front of you as you came in the front door, a sort of small hallway, if you will. I went into the bedroom and there was no sound of the shower. I looked into the bathroom and there was no shower running. Okay, I thought. Trick of the mind. Remember the anxiety attacks at the front door? I walked back into the hallway and I could hear the shower running. I did this a couple of times, each time getting more and more puzzled. Now you have to realize that different things have been happening for most of my life, so I didn't worry too much until nightfall. First, the windows started to rattle, even still, stuffed with paper. The shower got louder and I could hear someone singing. I went into the bathroom and there was a woman with very long dark hair having a shower. Oh yeah, behind her own shower curtain while mine was still hanging there.
It's like The Shining.
It has that vibe, man. I'm telling you. I stared, stunned, for just a minute before, from the front door came the loud banging of someone trying to break into the unit. The fear hit me like a truck. I was terrified. I watched that frightened woman get out of the shower, grab a towel, and I backed out before she walked through me. Mind you, she was a solid figure, and walked out of the bathroom, around the bottom of the bed, and stand in front of the front door. I crawled onto the bed where I could see the door, tucking up my knees, just hugging them. I didn't move until it was over. The woman stood staring at the shaking door, her face terrorized. She waited, we both did, for the man to get in. I don't know how I know it was a man. I just know he was using a sledgehammer to try and break down the door. This was later confirmed by the owners of the unit. He kept trying for, a quarter of an hour. If he said anything I don't remember, I was just overwhelmed by her terror. And yet, in the back of my mind, was the fact that it was her terror and not mine. And I watched in fascinated horror as the scene played out. In the end, it stopped and they both vanished. On the carpet under where she was standing was a mark the owners couldn't remove. The front doors had a panel of wood affixed with screws across the damaged part. I stayed in the unit that night, but the next day I went home to Mother. I rang Philip from there as there wasn't a phone at the unit, and told him the story. It was the first time I'd really told him about anything unusual happening to me. He was great. Mom and I arranged to have the unit blessed and cleared. It was done, but we didn't stay to see the result. A fact I found out after: the people involved in the drama are still alive. The man never got to the woman. I don't know why it happened. I was just glad to be out of there. And since that day, tenants never seemed to stay for a whole year. Weird. Isn't that weird that it's like we kind of talk about the imprints in time or whatever, but this is like a full-on scene playing out, like in the shower, loud banging, gets out of the shower, grabs a towel, like this whole scene that is unfolding before this poor person is like, what the hell's going on in my apartment, you know?
I think you're missing, to me, what the most fascinating point about all of it is. It's like we talk about imprints in time.
Yes.
But that's usually from somebody dead.
That is, that was a very interesting kind of add on there at the end. Yeah.
So it changes a lot of.
How would that work? Like how would something like that even work?
Because the way I would think it would work, just from being the nerd I am and reading all the stuff I do,
sure,
it's still like high emotion, and we already know that. At least with me, other people's emotions have a big effect on me.
Yeah,
whether they I can just feel it. So.
Are you saying like an empath type thing, like an empathy, like you can feel the tension type stuff, or is it?
I don't know if those are the exact words I would use, but that's probably close to it.
Yeah,
and it helps me a lot. And also I know how to take care of it without having like people in my lives that are going to trigger that in the wrong way. I guess I have a simple life, so that's.
Is it like a reading people? Because I know in Korea, I want to say it's in Korea, they have this thing where. By 2, I forget what the name of it is, but they pretty much teach their children to like read a room, like read the faces of people there and what to expect and how to offer, like what you can do in that situation.
I do feel like it's more like that. And I don't think I think it's something I just picked up through life.
Yeah.
Generation X could be that's another show all on its own, but
could be a spiritual gifting as well, Christian. You don't give yourself enough credit there. And usually you give yourself so much credit.
If it was a spiritual gifting, it wouldn't be me giving myself credit. That would be coming from somewhere else, right? So
you would think.
Yeah. I wouldn't take credit for that if it was. I don't know, but it's
a fascinating story though, right?
Yeah,
like
you can leave that stuff behind, and I guess if we knew more about it and studied that part, or were allowed to study that part of things, we might realize the way we carry ourselves in this world has a vastly different effect than what we think it does. And it, affects other people too.
I'm sure we could sit here and speculate on it for hours.
I'd like to know what other people think.
Different theories on how something like this is possible. And it would be actually interesting to hear other people's opinions of it too. So if you have opinions on that story, how something like that is possible, and it could be the stone tape if you want to flesh that theory out a little bit. If not, something else entirely, feel free to comment that. We often, I don't really respond too much to YouTube comments anymore. I'll do it occasionally, but I do enjoy reading all of them.
I do read all the comments. A lot of times I don't have the time to, because I'm at work or something. Or I gotta.
That is frowned upon, it turns out.
Or I'm trying to keep an eye on a little toddler.
And that is difficult.
Who likes to do dangerous things.
He's a dangerous man. So this next one is called The Paper Clown, and it's by Jay Northwood. I don't remember experiencing anything otherworldly until I was about 9 or 10 years old. This was 1976, 77. At that time, I still had a number of mementos from childhood, including an old Winnie the Pooh doll on my bed and a papier-mâché tissue paper clown hanging up on my wall, scattered about my room while I began the transition into young manhood, replete with models and science fiction books. The clown had played merry hell with my fears since a month after I made it, 5th grade art class, and I decided one night to get rid of it. I thought I'd accidentally spill something on it, trip while holding a soda perhaps, and force my mother to let me throw it out. She thought it was cute. Gack, I didn't. Well, 3 sodas later, and I thought it was just bad aim. The wall was soaked and the clown was dry. By the way, yes, I have seen bits of the movie Poltergeist, but not until I was 18 and out of the house. I had enough, so I wiped down the wall. Thank heavens the paint wasn't ruined. Ah yes, the important things.
Especially at 9 or 10 years old.
That is true.
But it was the 70s. That was a butt whooping.
Probably would have done the house a favor if 70s paint's gross.
Yeah, but...
And filled with lead, probably.
Yeah, but whatever. It was the 70s. Parental abuse.
Sure. Took down the clown. It was a simpler time, really. Took down the clown and threw it away. Then went to bed. I remember dreaming, that it walked back in and said, "Naughty boy." But it wasn't there in the morning, so I went to school. However, when I returned home, it was there. At first, I thought my mother had retrieved it and put it back up, but she'd gone on to work after dropping me off at school. I shrugged, took it down again, and threw it out, making sure to push it to the bottom of the garbage can and putting a sack of trash on top of it. I really didn't like that clown. I did homework, then read a bit, and when my mom got home, she took me and my younger sibling over to my grandmother's for dinner. It was back on my wall when we got back. Needless to say, I was somewhat more than spooked out. I remember crying and telling my mother that I keep throwing the clown away and it keeps coming back. She told me I had an overactive imagination and to keep the noise down.
70s.
Sigh, parents. That night I had a difficult time sleeping. It felt like the clown was watching me.
Judging.
Finally, I got out of bed, walked over to it and whispered, "What do you want? Why won't you just go away?" Nothing answered me. Just a clown. I shrugged, went down the hall to use the restroom, then went back to bed. The clown was now in my bed. I screamed, waking my mother. My stepfather was, well, probably only 1 to 2 sheets to the wind and wasn't about to wake up. She chastised me for forgetting that I wanted to sleep with it. She swore that I had told her through her bedroom door as she undressed that I was going to sleep with it so I wouldn't be scared of it anymore. Unfortunately, for my peace of mind, I did not say anything of the sort. I put the clown back on the wall using tongs, I wasn't going to touch it, and lay down to go to sleep. Just before I drifted off, I swear the thing rotated its flat head and began chuckling, a dry, dusty sound like dead leaves scraping across an old tombstone. I don't remember quite how I got rid of it, but the next day it was gone and stayed gone. Well, that was the beginning of what would become a lifelong association with the unseen, unheard, barely perceived paranormal. Some experiences were better and some worse, but this, I never forgot it, and I still hate clowns to this day.
Can't necessarily go with schizophrenia because it doesn't normally start with children.
And also clowns, so you know it's evil right off the bat.
I mean, clowns, yes.
Maybe clowns do exist.
I'm going to say, I don't believe the story.
That's
sorry.
a hot take.
I'm sorry. It's just, it was a little too much with the clown, and it's a paper mache clown.
You don't think, but see, we've kind of, oh God, I don't want to bring it back to demons, so I'm going to avoid the demon talk, but we've kind of talked about, let's just say spirits, right? Having the ability to terrorize children at will, knowing full well that the child could be like, yo, something creepy is going on with that paper mache clown that I made, and the parents can be like, you're just overactive imagination. Go back to bed. You know, like, so they have this, there's almost like a free reign where you're like, I can do whatever I want to this kid. And so if evil spirits exist and they want to, you know, instill terror into them while they're young, they can just do all this crazy stuff that parents are never going to believe. And it's like, you know, kid in a candy store at that point.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
It made sense to someone out there.
But
let them know.
I'm gonna go with some kind of trauma. Partially because this kid is in the same generation of me.
Is the kid getting diddled? Is that what we're doing?
No.
Okay.
No, not that kind of trauma.
Thank you. Thankfully.
But it does have to do with the stepdad. Having grown up in this generation, stepdads were kind of weird back then. Not that I had one, luckily, but my friends did. So
I feel like yelling or like...
I feel like the stepdad's messing with this kid, like putting that clown there.
And you think
it's kind of a reach, but those are the vibes I get. But this person's also saying this started their journey into the paranormal. Like they started experiencing other things after this. So that's just my initial reading. They obviously have the gift.
The gift. Or the curse, depending on who you ask. But yeah, I don't think, like, it's not super far-fetched.
No, it's not. It's not bad. It's just, you know, I have
your explanation for it, like the stepdad thing, not super, especially, you know, the day and age you're talking about. But I think
those guys were back then.
Yeah, as far as, you know, going to the bathroom and coming back and it being in your bed, like, and your stepdad is passed out drunk, that takes a lot of willpower for him to be like, oh, he's going to the bath.
Maybe. You know? Could be like, it feels very Twilight Zone.
It does have that vibe to it.
Yeah, like something, it would be a perfect story in black and white with a paper mache clown in the late 50s with a little Leave It to Beaver type kid going through some trauma. Of course, there wouldn't have been a stepdad then because that wasn't allowed back in the 50s. But
sure,
it just wasn't, it wasn't as popular because it was so hard to get a divorce. So you couldn't really have a stepdad if you couldn't get a divorce. I don't know where I was going with all that. I think I was just explaining that time period. A little before my time period.
You like that? You like that time period, huh? Things made a little more sense, did they?
But I also had to, all my life, I had to listen to my dad complain that women could get divorced.
Complain that women could get divorced? Like, damn it, they can leave.
And they kept doing it.
Ah.
So
at that point, you got to search internally a little bit.
Maybe. I guess back that generation, they didn't. It was the woman's fault, at least in his eyes. But
sure. And let's be honest, maybe once or twice it was. That's not sexist to say. It's not great to say, but hey, who amongst us, you know? I can admit that I can be a total clown. I can be a paper mache clown myself. Right?
No, don't do clowns, man.
I'm too snarky. I'm like such a, what's the hot chicks? What are they called? The little, what are the girls called? You know, like the high school.
Heathers?
No, that's a movie that you're thinking. What are they called when they're like the pretentious ladies? Is that what they're called? That seems a little too wordy. That Lindsay Lohan movie.
I can't think of the movie right. Like that's a great movie.
I'm a mean girl. That's it.
Mean Girls. Okay, I was like, I had a real brain issue.
I know. How did both? It took us like 5 minutes to be like, Mean Girl.
It was either the clown demon, the paper mache clown demon, or the Ouija board demon was infecting us there for a minute. That's what I'm going with.
Could be both. Yeah, I just got a mean girl personality, especially if I'm hungry. Good luck. Good luck getting any response out of me that's not just drenched in sarcasm.
Sometimes I wish I could be mean.
It's a weird thing. Sometimes I wish I could not be mean, Christian.
I'm like I'm sure I do it at times. Everybody does. But I don't have, like, if I have an intention to be mean outside of hockey.
Sure.
Hockey's different.
Yeah, why not?
But I can't do it. It makes me physically ill. I
thought you were Generation X. I thought nothing made you physically ill.
I'm not a perfect representation of Generation X.
Maroon 5 or what's that? Hoobastank. I'm not a perfect person. You know?
I saw them in concert.
I do not deny that, yeah.
In the Antelope Valley.
Even worse. Somehow even worse.
It was fine.
It's Hoobastank, you know?
It was live, though. Live is better, even. It was fun. And Crossfade.
You did CrossFit while you were watching Hoobastank?
No, Crossfade was the other band, the opening band.
They have like one hit wonder, yeah?
Like So Cold or something like that. It was fun. And I knew
it's an interesting term for it, Christian, but I'll allow it.
It was funny because I got to go. I think China went to that one, with me. She stood on a chair the whole time because she's short.
Well, yeah, she has to do that quite often.
But we got to move up because the security guard, I coached his son in hockey.
So there was a benefit.
Hockey is a very beneficial sport to be involved in.
Sure. Let's get into an old witch house. That sound fun?
I love witches.
This is a very interesting one as well. You probably won't believe this, but hey, spoiler alert, he doesn't believe 98% of the stories we tell here. This is really between us at this point. Me, you guys.
I was reading a witch story today for the show.
Look at that. He's coming around. Probably talk about it. Anyway, this is by Gerald.
It was research. You might see that witch story on here.
Is it about a witchy woman?
That was that show I was watching last night.
It's called Witchy Woman?
No, it was about a potential murder by a coven of witches.
Oh, maybe it's not all kumbaya after all, huh? Maybe they had a purpose with those witch trials, huh?
And maybe you'll have to wait and see what we talk about when we get to it.
That is true. I'm just rage baiting all the witches that listen to this podcast. I love you, witches.
Don't curse me.
Do not shrink me, Gypsy. It's fine. Back in 1994, what if that was why I was depressed all the time? Because like the witches that are they're like, that guy.
You do say some things sometimes.
I do say some things, and most of it is rage bait. The same way that Christian doesn't believe in ghosts is rage baiting the other half of our audience. I rage bait the witchcraft crowd.
That's kind of true. I do rage bait a little bit. I'm not trying to be mean about it, though.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why do people believe this stuff so easily?
I guess we're all just stupid.
That's not what I said.
Maybe you're all stupid. What? See? No, it's fine. Okay, back in 1994, I was working with a seismograph crew in north central Texas, about 30 miles northeast of Midland. The job would take us walking miles off-road along the countryside, laying out cables and equipment. One day doing this, we came across an abandoned farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere. The house was a one-story stucco with a long front porch and the windows gone. The house had several oak trees around it. In the oak trees hung small, dried animal carcasses of reptiles and rodents that are found in the area. But the strangest thing were paintings that covered the house. The paintings were a graffiti of strange symbols and writings that I did not recognize nor understand and never saw before. Even though we can see it's hollow indoors, none of us dared to go inside. One of the workers had a camera and took a picture of the house. Shortly after that, I left Texas and didn't see any of those workers for a couple years, and I never really thought of that house again. 2 years later, I was working in Gillette, Wyoming, when I met the worker that had taken the picture. After work, I went to visit him in his motel room. We made love. We made love by candlelight, and then afterwards, no, it's fine. He took a bunch of pictures out of the work we did in Texas. At one point of going through the pictures, he asked if I remembered the old witch house I came across. I told him I did, and he pulled it out and showed it to me.
Oh, in the hotel room.
Yeah, after he put it away, I was, no. Sorry.
Then we looked at the pictures.
Yeah, perverts. It's fine. I did, and he whipped it out and showed it to me.
Is this Brokeback Mountain?
It is, actually. I just reading the synopsis. I couldn't believe or understand what I saw. The house and trees were in the picture, but the strange paintings that covered the house were not there. All I saw was an old tan stucco house. Which sigils?
Or were there?
You know, like, what am I thinking of an episode of Supernatural? Or one of the other, like, paranormal shows or whatever, like, where people would almost, like, Enochian or something like that. They'd make these symbols on walls, and then it hides you from certain people or whatever.
You are correct.
I think people do it, though, right? I believe there's a sect of people that believe in like, if you put certain symbols, you're protecting yourself from whatever. And so that's what this kind of reads like.
Almost everybody believes some kind of symbols are protection.
Yeah, exactly. But what are you trying to hide yourself from? If your entire house is painted in these and you got dead animal carcasses and the oak trees outside, like, that's something you must be either like scared out of your wits, or you're doing something you shouldn't be doing inside that house and don't want people to, like, wander across it or something, you know? But my mind, when I read that, I was like, ooh, what was going on in this house, dude?
See, my mind at the beginning of the story is like doing seismology in Texas.
Hell yeah.
And then I'm like, it just seemed like a weird place to do it.
You don't think they get that? Like, that's earthquake stuff, right?
Yeah. But then I was like, wait, fracking.
And
then when he's like, I went to Wyoming, I'm like, definitely fracking.
Frack that. It's fine.
So, what's your take? Like, what do you think happened?
I honestly, well, if this is someone that I'm not going to call it a witch, all right? It could just as easily be someone that was trying to protect themselves or thought something was after them. You know, you are in the South.
No,
voodoo type stuff, maybe. I don't know.
In Texas, I'm feeling more skinwalker type
I could see that.
type stuff.
Yeah, but I don't know if you do that. Well, I guess if you're in the middle of nowhere, true, you could be hearing some weird shit at night and be like, no, I need whatever is out there to stay the hell away from me. So it could be something where they saw this house and they were immediately like, oh my God, witchcraft. But it could just be like a scared mom or something like that was like, hey, how do I keep my family safe from skinwalkers? Like, I'll just paint these symbols on your house.
Obviously, the pictures weren't, or the images weren't actually there because they're not in the pictures.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, how do you hide that?
You don't. The guy that thought he saw him saw something weird, unless he talked to the photographer at the time and they were both talking about what they both saw. That's what I would like to know.
Well, that's probably why he whipped that picture out, was like, hey, remember that witch house? Check it out. Because he left immediately after that. So it's not like they got to talk about it. Like, oh my God, the sigils didn't show up on this picture.
It's pretty weird. I don't understand. I mean, I guess there's probably certain paints that might.
Yeah.
But why would it be out in the middle of nowhere? Because that would be expensive.
Also, depending on the camera. I don't know the logistics of it, especially, I don't know how old this was.
94?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess it could be. I know for sure we have an infrared baby monitor.
Right.
And
Some stuff doesn't show up, and it's
most of it. Most of his like designs and stuff on his pajamas, it looks like he's wearing just a straight colored PJs.
Yeah.
But it's weird because it doesn't show up on the pajamas, it shows up on the bed sheet.
That is weird.
So I wonder if it's a material thing or what. But I know every time I'm like, why can I see the bed sheet design, but I can't see the pajama design? So that's what the witch was doing. She had crazy pajamas. Solved it. You're welcome. Don't get enough credit for this show. Yeah. I don't know. It's such a fun story though, because I like to think about this stuff. I'm like originally I was like, oh, maybe she was doing some evil stuff out there. But then it could be like maybe trying to keep something else out.
Yeah. And growing up in the desert, I'm sure you've come across places that were livable homes and they're just like weird painted on them.
Yeah.
Like the desert is the weirdest place I've ever been.
Or just middle of nowhere, like just random houses in the absolute middle of nowhere.
I feel like the middle of nowhere, I could understand it more because in the middle of nowhere in a forest or...
But that seems better than a desert, though.
Desert is like so... in the middle of nowhere, you're not going to survive. So people are crazy out there. And like I said, growing up, especially when I grew up, people were a little bit more remote when I was a little kid out there in the desert. Then by the time you showed up, there's some weirdos. And it's fine because that's why they're in the desert. I have an aunt that lives way out in the middle of nowhere. She's a great aunt. I love her. One of the coolest people my whole life.
Practices witchcraft.
I don't know that. But if anybody in the family was going to, she would be the one.
It's usually an aunt of some kind, yeah.
But she lives out in the desert.
Does she have children?
I mean, not young children.
Well, that wasn't the question. Children in general.
Well, she didn't live out in the desert back when my cousin and I hung out. So she lived in town and
did town things.
Worked at a nursery, not kids' nursery, plant nursery. Smoked some weed.
Yeah, okay. Well, why not?
Hung out in the late 60s, probably with the bad group.
The bad group.
I always wanted to ask her, did you hang out with Manson?
Because you want to hear her say yes so badly.
Well, because I know that's like she was in that environment around then, so she could have brushed up against him.
Gross.
You know what I mean, though? Like in the vicinity.
Mm-hmm. That does happen.
At the same party or whatever.
Yeah.
But
bathroom at a Chili's. You just never really know.
Did they have Chili's back then?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm surprised at some of the founding years of some places that I thought were more modern. Like Mountain Dew was around in like the 30s or some crap. I was like, Mountain Dew? They had white trash back then? That seems really weird.
I remember Mountain Dew all growing up. I didn't drink it.
Well, how else are you going to do the Dew, Christian, if you don't actually drink it?
I didn't do the Dew until Hoobastank started doing their commercials. Brought that back. Brought it back.
Really talking about Hoobastank twice in this episode?
I know.
Disgusting. No one has talked about Hoobastank in about 15 years, so...
You're welcome.
I'm not a party person.
I hear him about once or twice a week at the store.
Gross. Anyway, we're going to close it out with this next story. It's called My Childhood Home. It's by D. Norman. From my birth until my 13th year, my family lived in a boring-looking tract house in a suburb of Louisville, Kentucky. I'm sorry, Louisville. Apologies. The house was haunted, as will soon be apparent, and haunted in the worst way. All my family members experienced the haunting to greater or lesser degree, depending on how sensitive they were. Growing up in a haunted house from birth sure makes for some interesting problems for a child. It took several years after we moved out for me to realize that our house was actually haunted, because all the goings-on seemed normal to me. I'd never known anything else. It was not until we moved out when I was 13 that my family would even talk about what happened there. There were so many times that we experienced manifestations of the haunting that I cannot relate a novel-like timeline, so I will do my best to just cite particular instances and hope that it all makes some sort of sense to you all. One of the worst experiences that any of my family members had was during the summer that I turned 8. We had a big vegetable garden in our backyard, and it was a family project to keep the weeds out and the veggies growing. This particular day, I was standing on our back porch with my grandmother before lunchtime, watching my mother pick tomatoes for lunch. As my mother moved from row to row, picking happily, a black, shapeless mist rose from the ground and enveloped her head and shoulders. She quickly began flailing her arm and screaming, trying to beat the shadow away from her. My grandmother and I stood in shock for a moment, watching as my mother ran out of the garden and into the yard, still flailing and crying. The shape stayed with her as she ran towards us, perfectly centered around her head. My grandmother, not wanting the formless cloud to come near me, began to run to my mother. She was holding a broom at that time, and I distinctly remember her beating at the form and screaming, "You son of a b***, away from my daughter!" I stood in shock and watched as my grandmother beat at it repeatedly until it vanished before our eyes. Her daughter's just lifeless on the ground because she got her ass beat by her mom accidentally.
With the broom, Scott, with the broom. She's okay.
After that day, my mother refused to enter the garden again. Another event that happened that summer took place one evening as the whole family was about to sit down for dinner. I had just come in from playing all day in the yard, and my mother instructed me to go to my room and change from my bathing suit to regular clothes. I stepped into my room, which was dark as the sun was just setting, intending to dress in the dimness because I was in a hurry to eat. Once I entered my room, I came face to face with something that made me scream at the top of my lungs. As my family rushed into my small room, I was crying and pointing toward the center of the room. To this day, I do not recall what I saw exactly, only that at the time I cried out something about children. Gross. My family refuses to tell me what I said that I saw. I am not sure about the date of this event, but my older sister claims to have seen the walls bleed in her bedroom at one time. She screamed for help, and as my mother rushed into her room, she caught a glimpse of the blood too. One time, my mother opened her closet in her bedroom to see that all her clothes were soaked with water. She quickly removed all the clothes and sent my father to check the roof for leaks, which was a bit delusional because it had not rained in at least a week. My father inspected the roof closely, and when he could not find any evidence of the damage, spent the next half hour wetting the roof down with the garden hose. By then, my mother had already dried the inside of her closet and stood in it, waiting to see when the water would leak in. No matter how much water my father hosed onto the roof, no water ever leaked in. He inspected our attic for leaks and could not find any evidence of water damage anywhere. Another event that happened to my mother took place one night when my brother, sister, and I were all out of the house. The three of us were at my grandmother's. My mother was in the living room watering her plants when she felt someone come up behind her and place a hand on her waist. Fully expecting it to be my father, she turned and said, "Larry?" No one was standing behind her, and my father answered her call from the other side of the house. "What?" Oh, just kidding. One night at dinner, the entire family watched as my father's napkin lifted a foot in the air, moved about 2 feet over, and gently dropped to the floor. On my 10th birthday, my brother and I watched as a row of my mother's potted plants slowly began to spin clockwise and continue to pick up speed until my father quickly ushered us out of the room. Several times, my family was awoken from our sleep by the fire alarm going off for no reason. My father bought a new one, and the same thing happened. Then my father had the wiring redone, and the false alarm still took place. Also, in the middle of the night, the microwave would beep incessantly, and the toilet would flush by itself. Those are the most major events that happened in the house. Some of them were trivial, some of them were annoying, and a lot of them were downright scary. My father, who had always claimed to be a skeptic of the First Order, informed me a couple years after we moved out that he would never stay in the house alone. If the rest of the family was out, he would find something to do outside, preferably in the front yard, until we came home. My mother never entered the garden after the Black Shadow incident. My sister informed me that she was always scared of the same 3 places in the house, and as she began to list them, I was able to finish the list for her. The closets in the 2 bedrooms and the back hallway. Once I was old enough to stay at home alone, the few times that my parents let me, they always found me curled into a corner by the time they got home, crying most of the time. Whatever haunted the house was always present, mostly as an oppressive force that hung over you, especially when you were alone, other times flaring up into the events that I described above. Now I will answer the questions that I usually get when I mention that I lived in a haunted house. The house was a tract home that was built in the 60s. It was owned by one family before mine. This family had a daughter that died at the age of 16 from a childhood illness. The family was a happy and supportive one. The father was a minister, and the girl died in the hospital. By the time of her death, she had not been in the house for several months. So there is one of my stories. It's all true. The house still stands. I live in an apartment with my fiance right on the edge of the neighborhood it stands in. I avoid it at all costs because the one time that I went back to visit it, morbid curiosity, I was going to ask the couple that bought it if they had any paranormal experiences. the moment that I stepped onto the property, I heard a horrible voice say my name. So I left quickly.
I still don't necessarily believe in demons or ghosts, but something's going on here, and I'd like to know what it is.
It could be what?
Burial grounds.
It could be that. It could be like portals. You know what I mean? Like, am I thinking ley lines? What am I thinking?
I mean, if ley lines existed, that would be...
Do they not exist?
I mean, according to some people, they do. I'm not sure there's much of a thing behind them.
Hasn't there been like research and stuff into the actual like dogs will travel along these things?
I can see some of that happening because it's magnetic, possibly.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But all the crazy stuff that goes with ley lines, I'm not on board yet.
Okay, so you think dogs can intuitively run along them, but portals can't open up and
I think animals
usher in the other side?
I think if a bird can use magnetics, the Earth's magnetic field, to migrate, a dog can have similar things.
And if a bird can do that, and a dog can have similar things, then a demon can pop through from the other side. You know?
No, that's two different mechanisms.
These are all three things of the same sort, I feel.
No, magnetics and animals are not the same as demons popping out of
I don't think we know enough about magnets, to be honest with you. We're not those people. We're not magnet people, Christian. We just speculate here. That's what we do. It's the fun of the show.
I spent a lot of time collecting those little deposits with my magnets back in the day.
Deposits?
Iron? I don't remember, man. I was a child.
The stick and hoop? Is that what you're...
No, you take a magnet and you put it in the dirt and pulls out all the stuff that sticks to it. What kind of childhood did you have?
Well, I was going through the Rolodex of child's toys and like what they did as, you know, when technology wasn't around.
I guess I was
stick
bored.
and hoop and marbles.
I had to have fun with a magnet.
You and your friends were circled around playing jacks.
I was not.
Did you ever play jacks as a kid?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Because sometimes the only person to play with was the little girl.
Ghost. The who now?
The little girl down the street, your age.
My age?
My age.
Oh, I was like...
My age at the time.
She's 35? That's...
kind of weird.
Christian, that's dark.
So what do you think? Demon, ghost, haunting?
Just haunted house. Some poltergeist type activity.
I do feel like if it was anything, it's going to be more poltergeist. Which I don't even know what the hell. Like you got ghosts, demons, poltergeist. They all seem to be a little different.
Yeah. Location. Now, I think it would be fantastic if we had some local listeners that had like a haunted house. Or they were like, I think we have a poltergeist here. You know, I've seen one post on Facebook group for Wasilla that was like, hey, I need a priest to come bless our house. And I was like, oh man, that's a time I should have just lied and been like, I'm a priest. Where you at?
I'm like, my name's Christian. Of course I'm a priest.
Yeah, that works all the time. Yeah. But if you're a local listener and you're not wackadoo and you want to maybe let us come check out your house, we can stay the night. If it's spooky there, nothing's going to happen to Christian. He's going to wake up and be like, everything was fine there.
Why is Scott crying?
I know, I'm in the corner, just losing my religion, you know, and it's fine. You know, it is what it is. But
were you in the spotlight before you lost your religion?
Probably would be. Yeah. That's usually the way it works, right?
That's the way the song works. I love the probing. Some of us are just into different things. Beat it out of them. That's not me. We grasp fear. That's all of us. We love it. We love to be fearful. I'm convinced.
And we fear to be loveful. Okay. Well, folks, I'm pretty sure that's all we got. Wow. I thought that was actually going to be a shorter episode because I only had like 5 stories or something like that. But I knew in my heart of hearts that there would be talk of demons at some point. I was like, this is going to take us 10 to 15 minutes to get through. And people are going to roll their eyes the entire time and be like, well, you just shut the hell up.
I bet you we're really popular in the demon podcast sphere.
No. Christian, we're not really popular in any podcast sphere. We are like in the, what's it called? The in-between?
Yeah.
What is that called? Between purgatory. We're the purgatory podcast.
Purgatory.
Because we're not wildly popular. We got like an underground cult following of several hundred people. And that's fine, guys. But would it help you to also be millionaires and support our lifestyles? Would that Would that kill you? So, folks, yeah, be sure to follow us on social media, comment where you're listening from. If you're watching on YouTube and you're like, wow, I didn't realize that now I can see you guys on the episodes and it's all video and everything's great and I need to bleach my eyeballs, I'm going to subscribe. That wasn't really a sales pitch I was hoping it to be, but...
You're not that hideous.
Yeah, go ahead. Subscribe. Like the video, share it with friends and family. Share it with your weird family. Or your normal family, just so they can see how weird you are when you send us and they're like, why would you do this? Why would you tear your family apart like this? On the eve of your daughter's wedding.
Share us with that crazy uncle. He'll definitely like us.
Mm-hmm. As long as they're not touchy, you know? That's fine. This is getting off the rails. As is tradition, folks, pretty much 2 episodes away from the Christmas episode at this point. Next episode, we're going to be getting into shadow people. Going to get all up inside those shadow people. And we're going to show them who's boss for a change. We're going to say, not today, Hat Man.
You're going to be calling them shadow puppets when I'm done with them.
Yeah. Work them like a puppets, you know? It's fine. And somewhat disgusting, but that's cool. So be sure to check back in 2 weeks from today if you're listening on Thursday. 2 weeks from... Guys, you understand how time works. I'm tired of trying to explain it to everyone, okay? I'm trying to get rid of this. And Christian, do you have any final words?
Have a good 2 weeks.
We'll see you after the break, huh?
Bigfoot is stalking by your window. Dogman is scratching at your door. Ghosties are walking up and down your halls at night, and the Hat Man is coming back for more. Your name is Christian, you love a can of beans, and you're the wettest blanket skeptic this world has ever seen. You're almost always wrong, it's quite an impressive streaky. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the Freaky Deaky. Your name is Christian, you're named ironically, because the only belief you have can be found in a can of beans. You're almost never right, and now you get roasted weekly. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the Freaky Deaky. Also, ghosts exist, just an FYI. Aliens are feeling blue. The Ouija demon's lonely because they believe in you, in you, in you. They believe in you. Your name is Christian, you love a can of beans, and you're the rightest blackguard skeptic this world has ever seen. You're almost always wrong, it's quite an impressive streaky. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the Freaky Deaky. Your name is Christian, you're named ironically, because the only belief you have can be found in a can of beans. You're almost never right, and now you get roasted weekly. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the Freaky Deaky. Also, ghosts exist, just an FYI. Aliens are feeling blue. The Ouija demon's lonely because they believe in you.